Reality as we perceive it is what we call the explicate or unfolded order. It is the world of distinct forms, of separate objects in time and in space. But beneath this explicate order, there is a deeper and more fundamental order, a primary reality that I call the implicate or enfolded order. In the implicate order, everything is enfolded into everything else. The entire universe is contained in each of its parts, not as a collection of fragments, but as an undivided and interconnected whole. The totality of time, past, present, and future, is enfolded in each moment. What we call things in the explicate order are merely ripples, relatively stable patterns that unfold from this enfolded totality and eventually fold back into it. This continuous process of enfolding and unfolding is what I call the hollow movement. There is no fundamental separation between mind and matter, between the observer and the observed. Both are aspects of the same hollow movement. Thought, however, operates by fragmenting this totality. It divides the world into this and that, into me and not me. It creates the illusion that we are separate entities looking at an external world. This fragmentation in our thought is the source of all our disorder, both individual and collective. We create a fragmented world because our instrument for perceiving the world is fragmented thought itself. To change the world, we must first understand the nature of the thought that creates it. Look at your reality, the chair you sit on, the walls of the room, the sound that reaches your ears. It seems solid, separate, real. You feel that you are here and the world is out there. A subject looking at an object. This is the explicate order, the unfolded world. It is reality as thought presents it. Thought is an instrument that functions by dividing. It cuts the infinite totality of existence into manageable pieces. Table, window, tree, me, you. And we forget that we were the ones who made the cuts. We believe that separation is the fundamental truth. And from this belief, we live our lives. We live as a fragment, an isolated I in a separate body in a universe of other fragments. And this experience of being a fragment is, inherently, an experience of conflict and fear. The fragment must fight for its survival. It must compete with other fragments. It feels alone, incomplete, anxious. Our entire civilization is the manifestation of this fragmented view, nation against nation, religion against religion, humankind against nature. And within ourselves the war continues, mind against body, reason against emotion, the ideal me against the real me. This is the reality we know, a reality of chaos, of contradiction, of pain. To change your reality, as therefore, is not a matter of using your mind to attract different circumstances within this same fragmented structure. That would be merely rearranging the furniture inside the prison. The true quantum leap of which David Bohm speaks is a much deeper change. It is a leap in perception itself. It is the leap from perceiving oneself as a fragment to recognizing oneself as the totality from which all fragments unfold. It is the shift from seeing the world as a collection of things to feeling it as an indivisible flow, a hollow movement. It is the collapse of the illusion that you are the thinker separate from your thoughts, the observer separate from the world. How does this leap occur? Not through more thought. Thought is the very mechanism of fragmentation. One cannot use the knife that creates the wound to heal it. The leap happens through a new form of attention, an awareness that begins to observe thought itself, not for its content but as a system, as a process. It is to see the architect of your prison. When you see the architect, when you understand how your own mind constructs the walls of your separate reality, you are no longer trapped inside them. You begin to perceive the infinite space in which the prison was built, and you discover that this space is what you are, the totality, the implicate order, the peace that lies behind all fragmentation. Thought is not what we think it is. We believe that thought is a neutral instrument that we use to observe the world objectively, but it is not. Thought is a system. It is a material process, a set of conditioned reflexes recorded in our memory, in our nervous system. And this system operates on its own, for the most part. The system of thought projects the world we see. It selects certain data, ignores others, connects them based on past memory and presents the result as reality. But this is not reality. It is a representation, a construction. Most importantly, The system of thought projects the thinker, the I. You have a thought, and then the system immediately creates the feeling that there is an I behind the thought who is thinking it. I am thinking, but this I is just another thought. It is a creation of the system to give itself a center, a sense of permanence. The thinker is a part of the system of thought, not a separate entity that controls it. This system is, to a large extent, incoherent. It contains countless contradictions, inherited beliefs, fears, and desires that do not make sense together. For example, we may think that all human beings are brothers, but at the same time, we behave in a selfish and tribal way. This incoherence in our thought system projects itself outward as an incoherent reality, a society full of conflicts, wars, and destruction. We create the world in the image of our own thought. The problem is that the system of thought has a defense mechanism. It hides from itself. It does not allow us to see that it is a system. It makes us believe that we are seeing reality directly. It makes us believe that the thinker is real and in control. As long as we do not see the system as a system, we will be its slaves. We will live inside the reality it projects, suffering from the contradictions it generates, without ever understanding the source of our suffering. The architect of your reality is your own thought, not the content of your thoughts, not the individual stories you tell yourself, but the very process of thinking, the system. Feel this now. There is an awareness, a silent perception, and within it, thought arises. Thought does not ask, it asserts. This is good, that is bad. I need this, I don't want that. This is me, that is the other. It cuts, labels, judges. And with every cut, every label, a world is built. A reality is solidified. And most subtly of all, thought creates the thinker. Observe. A thought arises. I am anxious. Immediately the feeling of an I who is anxious solidifies. This I seems real, solid, the center of the experience. But where was this I before the thought? The thought, anxiety, arises, and the system of thought immediately creates an owner for it, the I. This I is a habit, a contraction in consciousness, a conditioned reflex. It is the protagonist in the film that thought is projecting, and we are completely identified with this protagonist. We believe we are him, and therefore we suffer his fate. The true quantum leap is a leap out of this film. It is a leap into the perception of the projector. It is the beginning of a new form of consciousness that is no longer trapped inside the system of thought, but is able to observe the system in operation. Bohm called this proprioception of thought. Just as the body has the ability to feel itself, its own position and movement, consciousness has the latent ability to feel thought as a material process, as a system in motion. This is not analyzing thoughts. Analyzing is just more thought. It is the system trying to fix itself, which is impossible. This is a direct perception. It is feeling the impulse to think even before the thought forms. It is seeing the conditioned reflex arise in response to a trigger. It is feeling the emotion that accompanies a thought and seeing how they both reinforce each other. It is observing how the system of thought projects the I and the other and creates the drama of separation. This observation is not passive, it is transformative. The system of thought can only operate in darkness, in unconsciousness. It can only control us as long as we believe that it is us. When you begin to observe it, when you cast the light of awareness on its functioning, the system begins to lose its power. You are, in fact, changing your reality at the most fundamental level possible. You are not changing what you think. You are changing how you think, or rather, your relationship to thought. You are moving from being an unconscious dreamer to becoming the awareness that is aware of the dream. And this awareness is free. It is whole. It is the implicate order. This is the beginning of the end of fragmentation and the beginning of a life of coherence and wholeness. Before continuing, I would like to ask you to subscribe and help our study group on non-duality. The objective of this channel is to spread philosophies about self-knowledge. Thank you to all who follow us. Fragmented consciousness cannot by itself become whole. Any movement it makes from fragmentation will only create more fragmentation. Therefore, it is not a matter of the fragmented I trying to integrate or fix itself. That I is the fragmentation itself. What is necessary is a new form of attention, an attention that does not operate from the center of the I, but that is impersonal, total, an attention that does not select, does not judge, does not cling. It is an attention that simply perceives the totality of the thought process, both its content and its structure, both its incoherence and its consequences. I call this the proprioception of thought. It is consciousness becoming aware of its own movements. Just as bodily proprioception allows us to know where our limbs are without looking, the proprioception of thought allows us to feel thought as a movement in the nervous system, as a material process. When you can perceive thought in this way, something changes. You are no longer identified with it. You are no longer the thought. You are the awareness that is aware of the thought. A space opens up. In this space, the incoherence of thought can be seen. You can see the contradictions, the hidden assumptions, the habitual reactions, and the very act of seeing this incoherence with this impersonal attention begins to bring coherence. The light of awareness is ordering. This can also be done collectively. My proposal for dialogue is precisely this: to create a space where a group of people can suspend their assumptions and observe the flow of collective thought, not to debate or to reach a consensus, but to become aware of the system of thought operating in the group. In this process, a new form of collective intelligence can emerge, an intelligence that is not fragmented, but whole. The leap happens within attention. It is not a dramatic event. It is a subtle shift in the quality of perception. It is the shift from being lost in the content to being aware of the process. How does one practice this? Begin by observing the body. The body is a direct reflection of thought. When a thought of fear arises, feel the contraction in the body. When a thought of anger arises, feel the heat, the tension. Observe this connection. See how thought and body are a single movement. This is the beginning of the proprioception of thought. You are feeling the thought as a physical event. Now observe your reactions. Someone says something. Observe the immediate impulse to agree or disagree, to defend or attack. Do nothing. Just observe the impulse. See it as a reflex, a program that has been activated. You do not have to follow the program. By observing the impulse without acting on it, you create a space. In that space, freedom is possible. Observe the inner dialogue, the voice that comments, that judges, that worries. Do not identify with the voice. Listen to it as you would listen to the radio. It is a program that is playing based on past memories. It is not you. You are the stillness that is listening to the radio. This practice of continuous observation is the quantum leap. Every moment you choose to observe the system of thought instead of identifying with it, you are making a leap. You are stepping out of the fragmented reality of the explicate and touching the unified reality of the implicate. You are changing your reality in the most fundamental way possible. The outer world may not change immediately, but your experience of it changes radically. The world ceases to be a threatening place, full of other fragments. It becomes a mirror, showing you the functioning of your own system of thought. Every interaction, every challenge becomes an opportunity to see the system in action and, in seeing it, to be free from it. Life ceases to be a problem to be solved. It becomes a flow to be perceived, a dance to be witnessed. The feeling of being a separate, anxious I begins to dissolve. In its place, a feeling of connection, of participation in the totality of existence arises. The mind, once incoherent and full of contradictions, begins to become more coherent, more harmonious. And a coherent mind projects a coherent reality. Your actions become more intelligent, more compassionate, because they are no longer born from the fear and desire of the ego, but from the perception of the whole. This is the real change. It is not manifesting a desire within the dream, it is awakening from the dream. Reality is an undivided whole. Quantum physics shows us this. At a fundamental level, there are no separate parts. Everything is an unbroken flow of energy, a hollow movement. Our classical perception of a world of separate objects is an abstraction, an appearance in the explicate order. The source of everything is the implicate order, where the totality is enfolded. Mind and matter are not two different substances. They are intertwined aspects of this same process. Matter is enfolded consciousness. Consciousness is unfolded matter. A new form of consciousness is possible. A consciousness that does not operate through fragmentation, but that can directly perceive the totality. A mind that is coherent with the structure of the universe. This consciousness would not see the world as a collection of resources to be exploited, but as a living, sacred organism of which we are an inseparable part. It would not see other people as competitors or threats, but as other expressions of the same whole. The transformation of human consciousness is not therefore a utopian ideal. It is a necessity for survival. Our current way of thinking, the fragmented system of thought, is leading us to destruction, both ecological and social. It is the cause of our crisis. The solution cannot come from the same level of thought that created the problem. The solution must be a leap to a new level of consciousness, a consciousness of the whole. This leap begins with the individual. It begins with your willingness to look at your own thought process, to see your own fragmentation, to become aware of the system that governs you. When a sufficient number of individuals begin to do this, a new form of collective intelligence can emerge, a culture based on wholeness, on coherence, on dialogue, a culture that can, finally, live in harmony with reality. This is the potential. This is the hope. The new reality is born from silence. The silence that opens up when consciousness becomes aware of itself, when thought is seen as thought and not as the truth, when the thinker is seen as a part of the thought and not as its master. In this silence, the fragmentation heals. The boundary between I and other becomes transparent. You look at a tree and you do not see a separate object. You feel the life flowing in it as the same life that flows in you. You feel your connection in the implicate order. You look at another person and you do not see a mask, a persona. You feel the consciousness looking through those eyes as the same consciousness that looks through yours. Compassion becomes your natural response, not because you should be compassionate, but because the perception of unity makes any other response impossible. Your reality has changed because you have changed. Or rather, you have stopped pretending to be what you are not, an isolated fragment, and have relaxed into what you have always been, the whole. The quantum leap is not a leap to a new place. It is the recognition of the place where you have always been. It is the end of exile. It is the return home to the undivided reality of being. From this place, life becomes an expression of coherence and beauty. You are no longer at war with the world because you are the world. You are no longer at war with yourself because the you that was at war has been seen as an illusion. The mind, once your prison, becomes your tool, and your life becomes your art. The expression of the totality in a unique and precious form. This is the promise. This is the potential. The leap is yours to make. In every moment of conscious attention to the process of thought, in every moment of silence in which the totality is felt, reality is waiting to be rediscovered.